My husband smiled when I showed him the hotel receipt. And that's when I realized I had never really known the man I married. I swear I was not even looking for evidence. I was looking for our insurance papers. Instead, I found a folded receipt buried inside the glove compartment of his truck. 1 room, 1 night, 2 guests. My stomach dropped. I actually laughed out loud because my brain refused to process what I was reading. When he walked into the garage carrying groceries, I held it up. "What's this?" He barely looked at it. "Oh, work." "Work? Yeah, a hotel room for 2 people." He rolled his eyes. "They automatically write that." I blinked. "They automatically assume 2 people? Why are you interrogating me?" There it was, not an explanation, an attack. Somehow, within 30 seconds, I was the unreasonable one. I apologized. Yes, I actually apologized. That's probably the part that embarrasses me the most. We have been married for 8 years. No kids, just us, or at least I thought it was just us. Looking back, things had been changing for months. He suddenly started taking calls outside. His phone never left his pocket. He changed his password after years of insisting we had nothing to hide. If I walked into the room unexpectedly, he would flip his phone over. Every single time. I asked him about it once. He laughed. "You have been watching too many cheating videos." I wanted to believe him, so I did, until the receipt. That night I could not sleep. He slept like a baby. Around 3 in the morning, his phone buzzed. Normally he kept it under his pillow. For some reason, he would left it charging across the room. I stared at it, then at him, then back at the phone. I knew if I touched it and found nothing, I would destroy whatever trust we still had. But if I did not, I would spend the rest of my life wondering. I picked it up, locked, Face ID. I sighed and put it back. Then another notification appeared. The preview was not hidden, just one sentence. "Did you tell your wife about this weekend?" I stopped breathing. Before I could read anything else, he suddenly sat upright in bed. "What the hell are you doing with my phone?" he shouted, and I realized. He was not surprised because I had touched it. He was terrified I would already seen too much. He did not ask what I had seen. He did not ask why I had picked up his phone. His first words were, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I just stood there holding the phone while my heart pounded so hard I could hear it. I only saw the notification. What notification? The one asking if you told your wife about this weekend. His face changed for half a second, just enough. Then it disappeared. He laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh my God. What? You seriously think that's about another woman?" What else am I supposed to think? My coworkers were planning a fishing trip. I stared at him. "A fishing trip? Yeah. Then why would someone ask if you told your wife?" "Because I already promised we would repaint the kitchen this weekend." It sounded believable, almost, if I had not seen that hotel receipt earlier. "You have been lying all day," I whispered. "I am lying because you are acting insane." There it was again. Everything somehow became my fault. He grabbed his phone out of my hands. "I cannot believe you invaded my privacy." "Privacy? Yes, privacy. We are married. So? He folded his arms. "Marriage does not mean I lose basic human rights." I did not even know how to respond. He kept talking. "If you trusted me, you would not be doing this." I wanted to scream. Instead, I quietly asked, "Can I see the conversation?" "No, why not?" "Because you have already proven you cannot be trusted." I laughed. It came out as this weird broken sound that did not even feel like mine. "So I am not allowed to see the messages that supposedly prove you are innocent? They are work messages." "Then show me." "No." We stared at each other for what felt like forever. Finally, he grabbed a pillow. "I am sleeping downstairs." As he walked out, I heard his phone vibrate again. This time he answered immediately. He did not know I had quietly followed him. Standing halfway down the staircase, hidden in the dark, I heard him whisper. "Number." She saw the notification. A pause. "No, I covered it." Another pause. "I will delete everything tomorrow." My knees almost gave out. I backed away before he could see me. For the next hour, I sat on the bathroom floor trying not to cry. Part of me still wanted to believe there was some innocent explanation. The other part already knew. The next morning, he kissed my forehead before leaving for work. "I love you," he said with the same smile he would worn for years. An hour later, while I was folding laundry, someone knocked on my front door. A woman I would never seen before stood there holding a toddler by the hand. She looked me straight in the eyes and asked, "Are you Daniel's wife?" For a second, I genuinely thought she would come to the wrong house. "I am sorry." "Who?" "Daniel," she repeated. "Your husband." My mouth went dry. "Yes, I am his wife." She looked almost relieved. "Can we talk, please?" The little boy beside her could not have been older than 3. He clung to her leg, holding a stuffed dinosaur, completely unaware that my world had just stopped spinning. I stepped aside without saying a word. She sat on the edge of the couch but did not touch the coffee I would offered. I am Emily. I nodded. I am Claire. She looked at the child before speaking again. I did not know about you. That sentence hit harder than I expected. What do you mean? He told me he was divorced. I laughed, not because it was funny, because if I did not laugh, I thought I might scream. What? He said the divorce had been finalized last year. We celebrated our 8th wedding anniversary 3 months ago. Emily closed her eyes. Oh my God. Neither of us spoke for almost a minute. Finally, she unlocked her phone. I think you deserve to see this. She handed it to me. There were hundreds of messages, pictures, vacation photos, restaurant reservations, selfies. He was smiling in every single one, the same smile he would given me that morning. I kept scrolling. Then I froze. There was a picture of Daniel holding the little boy on his shoulders. Under it, he would written, "Cannot wait until we are finally a real family." My hand started shaking. Emily quietly whispered, "I thought he meant us." I could not breathe. He told me he worked late because of construction projects. Emily frowned. He told me he worked nights because of accounting deadlines. Construction, accounting, neither was true. Daniel managed a regional furniture warehouse. He would been inventing entire careers depending on who he was talking to. Then Emily looked at me with an expression that somehow made everything even worse. I do not think I am the only one. I slowly lowered the phone. What? She swallowed. Last month, I accidentally saw another woman call him baby. The room went silent. I asked who she was, and he said she was his cousin. I almost smiled at how absurd that sounded. He does not have a cousin. I know that now. Just then my own phone buzzed. Daniel, hope you are having a relaxing day. Love you." I showed Emily the message. She stared at it, then her own phone lit up. She looked down, her face turned white. It's him. What did he say? She turned the screen toward me. Daniel, miss you already. Dinner tonight. Emily and I just stared at each other's phones. Same man, same minute, 2 completely different lives. Neither of us said a word. Finally, I whispered, "Answer him." She looked at me. What? Tell him yes. You want me to meet him? I want to see how far he will take this. She hesitated. This feels insane. I laughed bitterly. I think we passed insane somewhere around the fake divorce. She slowly typed. Emily, sure, same place. 3 dots appeared almost immediately. Daniel, perfect. 7, cannot wait. I felt physically sick. He would already plan the evening, without even checking whether I had plans. Emily looked at me carefully. Claire, yeah, I do not think you are ready to hear everything. My stomach tightened. What else is there? She opened her photo gallery. I started taking screenshots months ago. Hundreds, literally hundreds, hotel bookings, gift receipts, weekend trips, voice messages. He would send her videos while he was supposedly working overtime. One video caught my attention. He was standing in a cabin somewhere in the mountains. I wish we never had to hide, he said into the camera. The upload date made my blood run cold. That was the same weekend he would told me his mother was in the hospital. I had spent 2 days alone, terrified something had happened to my mother-in-law. She would never even been sick. I covered my mouth. He used his own mother. Emily quietly nodded. I know. Then my phone rang. Daniel, I declined it. A second later he called again, then a text arrived. Daniel, why are not you answering? Another. Daniel, is everything okay? Then another. Daniel, I am leaving work early. Emily frowned. He knows something. Before I could answer, my front door opened. I froze. I had not heard a key. Neither had Emily. Footsteps echoed through the hallway. Then we heard his voice. Claire. He was not supposed to be home for another 4 hours. Emily grabbed her son and looked at me in panic. Where do I go? I pointed toward the guest bedroom. Hurry. She disappeared just as Daniel walked into the living room. He stopped the second he saw my face. You have been crying. I am fine. He narrowed his eyes. Something happened. I forced a smile. Why are you home so early? Instead of answering, he slowly looked around the room, then toward the hallway, then back at me. His expression suddenly changed, cold, suspicious. Was someone here? My heart nearly stopped before I could answer. A tiny voice echoed from behind the closed guest room door. Mama, the entire house went silent. Mama, the little boy's voice was quiet, but in that moment it sounded louder than a gunshot. Daniel froze. His eyes slowly moved from the guest room door. Back to me. What was that? I forced myself not to look away. I do not know. You do not know. I thought maybe it came from outside. He kept staring at me. No, his jaw tightened. It came from inside this house. Silence, neither of us moved, then another small voice came through the door. Mama, can I come out now? Daniel looked genuinely confused. What kid? I folded my arms. You tell me. What does that mean? It means exactly what you think it means. His face went pale, for the first time since I would known him. He looked scared. He walked toward the guest room. I stepped directly in front of him. Move. No, Claire, no, I said move. He actually reached for my arm. Before he could touch me, the guest room door slowly opened. Emily stepped into the hallway holding her son for a full 5 seconds. Nobody spoke. Daniel looked at Emily, then at the child, then back at Emily. His entire face drained of color. Emily? She did not answer. Instead, she asked quietly, so? He swallowed. This is your wife? His mouth opened. Nothing came out. I watched him desperately searching for a lie. Finally, he found one. This is not what it looks like. Emily actually laughed. You always say that. He pointed at me. I can explain. Then pointed at Emily. I was going to tell both of you. When? I asked. Soon. Emily shook her head. You told me your divorce was final. He immediately answered. I only said that because I was afraid. I looked at him. Afraid of what? Losing you. I blinked. Which one? His lips parted. No answer. Emily pulled out her phone. What about these? She opened one of the videos. His own voice filled the living room. You are the only woman I have ever wanted. He rubbed both hands over his face. I did not mean I interrupted him. You sent me flowers the same day. He looked at me. I know. Emily's eyes filled with tears. You proposed to me 6 months ago. He nodded weakly. I know. Neither of us was yelling anymore. Neither of us needed to. His lies were collapsing faster than he could invent new ones. Then his own phone started ringing. He glanced at the screen and immediately tried to silence it. But Emily had already seen the caller ID. She frowned. Who's Ashley? I looked at him. His shoulders stiffened. No one. The phone rang again. This time I grabbed it before he could. A smiling selfie of a young woman filled the screen. Underneath it, just 2 words, future wife Emily looked at me. I looked at her. Neither of us said anything, because in that moment, we both realized there was not just one other woman, there was at least one more. Neither of us moved. Daniel's phone had stopped ringing, but it was too late. The words future wife were burned into my memory. I looked up at him. So, my voice barely sounded like my own. Who exactly am I? He ran both hands through his hair. Claire, please. No, I held up the phone. Answer the question. He did not. Instead, he tried something even worse. I can explain. Emily laughed bitterly. Every lie starts with those 3 words. Daniel turned toward her. You do not understand. She stared at him. I understand enough. No, you do not. Then help me. He hesitated, long enough to make me realize he was deciding which lie to tell first. Finally, he sighed. Ashley is just a coworker. I unlocked his phone. He would forgotten that Face ID had already recognized him while I was holding it. His eyes widened. Claire, do not too late. The first thing I opened was the contact. Photos, messages, voice notes, vacation plans, heart emojis, a wedding venue link. I could not even process it. Emily leaned closer. What date? I looked at the message. September 18th. Emily frowned. That's impossible. Why? She slowly reached into her purse, pulled out a folded brochure. A wedding venue advertisement. She unfolded it. I toured this place with him. Same venue, same ballroom, same date. Daniel closed his eyes. Neither of us said a word. Then another message popped up on his screen. Ashley, did your wife sign the papers yet? My entire body went cold. What papers? Daniel immediately reached for the phone. I stepped back. What papers? They are nothing. So why does she think I signed them? You what? I did not know how to end things. Emily suddenly whispered, there are not just 2 of us. I looked at her. She pointed toward the message list. There are initials. She was right, not just Ashley. There was LS. Me, a beautiful nurse gym girl. Most of them had no real names, just nicknames. I opened one conversation after another. Different women, different stories, different lies. One of them believed he was a widower. Another thought he lived alone. One believed he traveled overseas every month. Someone else congratulated him on his new apartment. We would lived in the same house for 6 years. Emily covered her mouth. How many people? I kept scrolling, 12 conversations, then 15, then 20, some recent, some over a year old. Daniel finally whispered, I never meant for this to happen. I looked straight into his eyes. For what to happen? For everyone to meet. Before either of us could answer, someone knocked loudly on the front door. 3 hard knocks, then a woman's voice echoed through the hallway. Daniel, I know your truck is here. We all froze, even Daniel. Then the woman shouted again. You told me your crazy ex-wife moved out. Emily slowly looked at me. I looked at Daniel. He did not say a single word. Nobody moved. The knocking came again, louder this time. "Daniel," the woman yelled through the door. "Open up." Daniel looked like he might actually pass out. I had never seen him speechless before. Emily broke the silence. "Should I get it?" "No," Daniel snapped. It was the fastest he would responded to anything all day. I tilted my head. "Interesting." He took a step toward the door. "I will handle this." I stepped directly into his path. "No, Claire, you have been handling things for years." Another knock. Then the doorknob rattled. "Oh, come on," the woman shouted. "You gave me the spare key last month?" Every ounce of color disappeared from Daniel's face. I looked at him. "You gave her a key." "It's not," I do not even want to hear the next lie. Before he could answer, the front door unlocked. Unlocked. Someone walked in. A blonde woman, maybe 28 or 29, carrying 2 grocery bags. She smiled as she entered. "Babe, I found those steaks she stopped." Her eyes landed on me, then Emily, then the little boy, then Daniel. The smile vanished instantly. "What?" No one answered. She slowly set the grocery bags on the floor. "What is this?" Daniel finally found his voice. "Ashley." She looked at me. "Who are you?" I answered calmly. "I am his wife." Her eyebrows pulled together. "What?" "I am married to Daniel." She laughed. "No," I held up my left hand. "My wedding ring says otherwise." Ashley looked at Daniel. "Tell her." He did not. Instead, he whispered, "I am sorry." Ashley's face changed completely. "You told me your divorce was finalized." Emily let out a hollow laugh. "He used that one on me too." Ashley slowly turned toward her. "What?" Emily stepped forward. "I am his fiancé." Silence. Ashley's lips parted. "You are joking." Emily shook her head. "He proposed 6 months ago." Ashley looked back at Daniel. "You proposed?" He could not even make eye contact anymore. Then Ashley noticed the little boy. Her voice became almost a whisper. "Whose child is that?" Emily answered. "Mine." Ashley nodded slowly. "And his?" Emily did not speak. She did not have to. Ashley's eyes filled with tears. She took one shaky step backward, then another. Finally she laughed, not because anything was funny, because reality had become too absurd. "I quit my job for you." Daniel looked up. "Ashley, I sold my apartment." Emily stared at her. Ashley continued. "You convinced me we would be moving in together next month." I looked around my living room. "Our living room?" She nodded without taking her eyes off Daniel. "He said the house would finally be empty." I felt something inside me break. Not from sadness anymore, from clarity. Every strange argument, every canceled vacation, every late-night business trip, every unexplained expense, every missing weekend. None of it had been random. It had all been logistics. He was not struggling to balance work and marriage. He was managing multiple relationships like they were appointments on a calendar. Then another phone buzzed, not his, Ashley's. She glanced at the screen, and her expression froze. She slowly turned the display toward us. "It gets worse." The message was from an unknown number. It contained only one sentence. "If you are at Daniel's house, do not leave until you meet his mother." No one said a word. Ashley kept staring at the message. Then she looked at Daniel. "Who sent this?" I do not know." His answer came too quickly. Emily folded her arms. "You have lied so much today that I do not think you even remember what's true anymore." Daniel rubbed his temples. "This has gone too far." I almost laughed. "Too far? You have all ganged up on me." "There it is," Ashley muttered. "What?" "The victim act." She looked directly at me. "He always did this. If I questioned him, he would say I was controlling." Emily nodded. "He told me I had trust issues." I smiled bitterly. "He told me I was paranoid." For a strange moment, all 3 of us exchanged glances. Different women, different lives, the exact same script. Daniel suddenly raised his voice. "And everyone stopped talking about me like I am not standing here?" I turned toward him. "Fine. Finally. How many women?" He hesitated. "I do not know." Ashley frowned. "You do not know?" "I mean, I never counted." Emily closed her eyes. "Oh my God." Then another knock echoed through the house. This one was softer, almost hesitant. Daniel whispered, "Do not answer it." I looked at him. "Why? Please." That single word told me everything. I walked to the front door. Grabbed my wrist. "Claire." I slowly removed his hand. "You have had enough chances." I opened the door. An older woman stood outside carrying a casserole dish wrapped in foil. She smiled warmly. "I hope I am not interrupting." Then she looked past me. Her smile disappeared. She saw Daniel, then Ashley, then Emily, then the little boy. Finally, she looked at me. "What happened?" I recognized her immediately. Margaret, Daniel's mother, the woman who had always treated me like her own daughter. She stepped inside. No one spoke. She carefully placed the casserole on the kitchen counter. Then she looked directly at Daniel. What did you do? He swallowed. Mom, no, her voice was calm, too calm. I asked what you did. He looked around the room as though searching for an escape. There was a misunderstanding. Margaret slowly turned toward me. Claire, yes. Are these women here because of my son? I nodded. Her shoulders dropped. She closed her eyes for several long seconds. When she opened them again, she looked 20 years older. Then she whispered something that none of us expected. I warned him this day would come. Every head turned toward her. Daniel's face went completely white. Mom, I begged you to stop. Silence. Ashley stared at her. You knew. Margaret nodded once. Tears filled her eyes. I knew about one. She looked at Emily. I found out about a second. Then she slowly looked at Ashley. I have never seen you before. She turned back to Daniel. Her voice trembled. So, how many are there now? Daniel did not answer. Margaret reached into her purse, pulled out a sealed envelope. She placed it gently on the coffee table. I prayed I would never have to give this to anyone. I looked down at it. Written across the front in her handwriting were 6 words. For Daniel's wife, when you learn everything. Nobody reached for the envelope. It just sat there on the coffee table, as if opening it would make everything irreversible. Margaret looked at me. It belongs to you. Daniel took a step forward. Mom, do not. She did not even acknowledge him. Claire, open it. My hands were shaking as I picked it up. The seal had already started to peel with age. This had not been written yesterday or last week. She had been carrying this for a long time. Inside was a handwritten letter. The first sentence made my stomach turn. If you are reading this, Daniel ignored every chance I gave him to tell you the truth. I looked up. Margaret quietly nodded. Keep reading. The next page contained dates, names, places. Some were crossed out, some were not. Emily leaned closer. Ashley covered her mouth. There were 6 women's first names listed, not counting me. Next to each name was a note in Margaret's handwriting. Met at conference. Coworker. Neighbor. Fitness club. Online. Then one line simply read, married. Does not know about the others. Ashley whispered, oh my God. I turned another page. There were printed bank statements, dozens of transfers, hotel charges, jewelry stores, apartment deposits, vacation bookings. The total at the bottom had been highlighted, 184,000. I stared at the number. What is this? Margaret answered quietly. Money. I can see that. Your money. I looked at her. Our joint savings. Daniel finally spoke. It was not like that. I slammed the papers onto the table. It was not like what? I was going to pay it back. $184,000. I invested it. In who? Silence. Emily suddenly frowned. Wait. She reached for one of the receipts. I know this address. She pulled out her phone, typed it into the map, then slowly looked up. Daniel. He refused to meet her eyes. Ashley asked, what is it? Emily swallowed. This is not a vacation rental. It is not. She turned the phone toward us. No, it's a condominium. I felt my chest tighten. What does that mean? Emily zoomed in. It's been owned for almost 2 years. Margaret closed her eyes. I was afraid of that. I looked at her. You knew about the condo too? No, I suspected. Daniel suddenly exploded. Enough, all of us looked at him. You think you know everything? His voice echoed through the house. You have no idea what I have been dealing with. Ashley laughed in disbelief. We are supposed to feel sorry for you. You do not understand. Then explain. He looked at each of us, then whispered, I could not leave. I frowned, could not. I tried. When? So many times. Emily shook her head. You proposed instead. I panicked. Ashley folded her arms. You asked me to move in. I know. I stepped closer. So why did not you just divorce me for the first time all day? He answered honestly. Because I could not afford to. The room went completely silent. Margaret looked at him with tears in her eyes. You finally admitted it. Daniel nodded once, then looked straight at me. I stayed married because everything was in your name. Before I could process those words, a police cruiser pulled into the driveway. Blue lights flashed across the living room walls, then someone knocked firmly on the front door. Police department. We need to speak with Daniel Harris. Daniel did not even look surprised. He just whispered one sentence that made every hair on my body stand up. They found out first. Nobody breathed. Daniel did not even flinch when the knock came again. Police department, open the door. Ashley looked at him. What did you mean? They found out first? He did not answer. I had spent the entire day watching him invent excuses. This time, there was not one. Margaret quietly whispered, Daniel. He closed his eyes. I am sorry, Mom. She started crying, not loudly, just the kind of tears that come from years of disappointment. Another knock, louder. I walked to the front door and opened it. 2 officers stood outside. One of them asked politely, "Are you Claire Harris?" "Yes, we are looking for Daniel Harris." I stepped aside. "He's here." Daniel slowly walked into the hallway. The older officer studied him for a second. "Mr. Harris?" "Yes. I would like to ask you some questions regarding an ongoing fraud investigation." Emily frowned. "Fraud?" The younger officer looked around the room, noticing all of us. "This may actually explain a few things." Daniel immediately shook his head. "I have not done anything." The officer calmly replied, "Several people disagree." He opened a folder. "There have been multiple complaints." Ashley whispered, "Complaints?" The officer continued, "False identities, financial deception, forgery, marriage fraud." My heart stopped. "Marriage?" The officer nodded. "We have been investigating for several months." Margaret covered her face. I knew something was wrong. The officer looked at me. "Mrs. Harris, did your husband ever ask you to sign financial documents without reading them?" Every memory hit me at once. The refinance paperwork, the investment forms, the insurance updates. The endless stack of documents he would always said were routine. "Yes." He nodded. "We will probably need copies." Daniel finally raised his voice. "This is ridiculous." The officer remained perfectly calm. "Is it?" He removed several photographs from the folder. "Do you recognize these women?" He laid them across the coffee table. "Ashley, Emily, 3 women I would never seen before." Then, one final photograph. I stared at it. A smiling woman wearing a wedding dress, standing beside Daniel. I looked at the date. Last year, I felt dizzy. "What?" Officer looked at me carefully. "She believed she was legally married to him." Daniel immediately shouted, "It was not legal." The officer looked straight at him. "Exactly." Silence filled the room. The younger officer gently placed a pair of handcuffs on the table. "Daniel Harris, you are under arrest." He did not resist. He simply lowered his head. As they led him toward the front door, he stopped beside me. For the first time all day, there were no excuses, no manipulation. No lies, only one quiet sentence. "I never loved any of them." I looked him directly in the eyes. "I know." He frowned. I continued, "You never loved anyone." The officers escorted him outside. The flashing blue lights disappeared a few minutes later. The house was completely silent. Ashley sat on the floor staring into space. Emily held her son tighter than ever. Margaret quietly apologized to each of us, even though none of this was her fault. It has been 11 months since that day. Our divorce is finally over. The investigation is still ongoing, and I continue to cooperate with the authorities whenever they need me. People keep asking what the hardest part was. It was not discovering the affairs. It was not the lies. It was not even losing the man I thought I married. The hardest part was accepting that the person I loved had never really existed. If anyone reading this is constantly being told they are crazy, paranoid, or imagining things, do not ignore that feeling just because you love someone. Trust is not built by words. It's built by actions. And when someone's entire life depends on convincing you to doubt your own reality, the most important thing you can do is believe what you see, not what you are told. The story has come to an end. Share, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow.